Hello and welcome to today's video. My name is Anniken. I design knitting patterns, I teach knitting workshops in person and online, and I sell pretty yarns which you can find at YarnAddict.co.uk. Welcome to today's video, which is another knit and chat, or rather knit and crochet video, because I'm going to try and crochet while I chat to you today. As it is end of October when I'm filming this, it may not actually be on my YouTube channel till the beginning of November, we'll see. But as it is the end of October, I thought I would chat a little bit about knitting for others, gift knitting, and some of the feelings that come up around that kind of issue. So if you like today's video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing, and please leave me a comment and let me know if you knit presents for people. Do you knit for other people? Let me know what you think about the things I chat about today. So I'm going to see if I can actually crochet while I chat to you. I'm working on a crochet blanket, so there is a separate video where I talk about the start of this, which is probably already on my YouTube channel before this video, I think. I haven't uploaded it yet, but it probably will be. So I've just started. This is just a scrap blanket, so I'm using various leftover, can't see that. I'm actually using at the moment mostly my advent calendar from last year, which I haven't used yet, which are 10-gram mini skeins. But I finished the last colour last night and I didn't wind the next colour. So, because I don't want to wind it before I film this video, and I don't have anything, well, I have got knitting, but it's not really suitable for chatting, I don't think. So I just grabbed a couple of balls that were left over. Those two colours, they're two different ones, but they're similar colours, but they're different yarns. So I thought I would crochet with those. I'm kind of not really planning the colours. I'm just grabbing whichever colours takes my fancy, really. But I'll talk more about that in the video about the crochet blanket. So if you're interested in that, I think it'll probably go out before this video. So if I remember, I will link it below this video when this video is uploaded to YouTube. So, as I said, it is the end of October. Oh, one thing I was going to say is I'm actually crocheting in the ends. So I'm trying to crochet over my ends. I'm doing 3 rows in each colour, because then I alternate which end I finish on. So when I finish these 3 rows, I'll finish on the other end, which means I don't have to join in all the ends on the same side. And I'm crocheting the ends in as I go. So I'm just holding them on top of my crocheting and then crocheting them in as I go. And I do actually have a tutorial on how I did that on another crochet blanket, which I'll try and remember to link it below this video. So apologies if the lighting is a bit funny. It's sunny today, and in the afternoon the sun shines straight into my office, and the window is on that side, and I've closed the curtains, which are kind of like a light browny ish colour. They're actually some old curtains I'm used to having a hallway in our old house that we lived in 27, 28 years ago. They're very old curtains, but they were perfect for my office because I don't need anything fancy in here. But it does mean that when the sun shines through them, it gives me kind of like a funny colour. So I hope that's okay, because the sun keeps coming and going and I can't do anything about that. And I need to film this now because I've got other stuff I need to be doing. So I didn't fancy doing any more pattern writing today, and I need to reply to emails, but I'm a bit tired, so I thought I would just film a quick video before I start working. Another thing, apologies if you can hear noise. Both my husband and my daughter are working from here today. My daughter is home for this week, so she's working from home in her room. My husband is working from home in his office. I can't shut the door to my room at the moment because I have some boxes stacked up, which means I can't shut the door, because my room is a mess basically. So I need to have a bit of a tidy up, hopefully next week when I have a little bit more time, I think. I'm going to try and get this room tidied up. So I thought I would chat about knitting presents for people as we're coming in the run up to Christmas, and that's probably when you're most likely to knit presents for people. So do you knit presents for other people? Do you who do you knit for? Do you knit for close friends, family members, all your family members, one year, many years ago, I decided I would knit socks for everyone in my family. My husband, girls were quite young at the time, so I don't think I knitted socks for them. My mum, my dad, my sister, my sister's partner, maybe, I can't remember, but I gave up. I think I kind of started with my dad's, and he's got quite big feet, and I thought, no, this is never going to happen, so I think I gave up. Can't remember how many people got socks that year, but not very many. And I actually rarely knit for people, partly because I just don't have time, because most of my knitting time is taken up on new designs. So I don't always have time. I have one friend who really likes hand knitted stuff, but don't have a lot of time to knit herself, and also knits quite slowly. So I quite often knit stuff for her for Christmas or her birthday, although her birthday is quite close to Christmas. So that's a bit of a nuisance, but I've knitted a lot for her in the past, but mainly small things like hand warmers, because she uses them a lot because she gets really cold hands. I made her scarves. I've given her a couple of shawls, I think. She has ruined some of them by washing it inappropriately or wrongly, despite my instructions. But I don't generally knit for people a lot because I just don't have the time. I have sometimes gifted things that I've knitted before, so samples that have been used either for my book or for magazines. I have sometimes gifted those after they've kind of served their purpose, which is usually just useful photography, because I have so many of them and I can't use them all. I've sold some of them, I've gifted some of them, I've given some away to charity collections, but I can't use them all. So I have gifted some of those. If you give a knitted, or even not even just knitted, crocheted or any handmade gift to somebody and it isn't appreciated, how does that make you feel? Does that upset you? So I've got a couple of different stories I want to tell first. A friend of mine, it's actually the friend that I sometimes knit for. She, many years ago, she was knitting a hat for a friend, and she is not a very experienced knitter, and she's also a very slow knitter, and this hat actually had quite a few new techniques that were new to her. So it was quite a big challenge for her to knit this hat for her friend. Anyway, her friend happened to visit, and I actually met up with the two of them, and she was saying to her friend, or she was knitting on this hat, and she said to her friend, I'm making this for your birthday, but you might get a little bit late because it's taking me a long time because it's quite difficult. Do you like it? And her friend was being polite, but I kind of got the impression her friend didn't really like it. Anyway, next time I met up with this friend, she said, oh, didn't you think so and so liked the hat I'm making for her? And I said, are you sure she likes it? Do you think she really likes it? And she was like, yeah, I think she really likes it. And I was like, okay. And I was a bit, maybe I read her wrong, because I'd never met this woman before, so I didn't know her, so I don't know, maybe I read it wrong, but I was like, I'm not sure that she was, I don't think it was the hat she didn't like. I think it was the fact that she didn't think it was her colour. And I said, I kind of got the impression that maybe she wasn't too keen on the colour. And she was like, oh, no, it's perfect for her. And I was like, okay, fine. I'm not going to say anything. So anyway, she finished the hat eventually. She gifted it. A few months later, she asked her friend if she enjoyed the hat. And her friend was quite honest and said, actually, it wasn't really my style. So I gave it to my daughter, because I thought she would wear it more than I would. And my friend got really upset because her friend's daughter was a university student, and she obviously had a low opinion of university students, and she said, oh, it's just going to be knocking around her university room and get ruined, and she's going to spoil it. And I was like, well, you don't know that. She might look after it, and at least it's being worn. If if the daughter likes it and is wearing it, surely that's better than it not being worn. Anyway, my friend was really upset and asked for the hat back. So I don't know whether she got it back, I can't remember, but I did kind of say to her that, look, once you give something to somebody, you can't, you lose control of what happens to it. And that's the thing. Louise Tilbrook, who is a knitwear designer I follow on Instagram and Twitter, she basically said recently something along the lines of, when you gift something, set it free. If you give a gift to somebody, you lose control of what happens to it. It's no longer yours. It belongs to the person you gave it to. So if you care about what happens to it, don't give it away as a gift in the first place. I'm going to just tilt the camera down a bit so you can see more of what I'm actually crocheting. There was another thing on Twitter recently. There was a story, or there was a thing I saw on Twitter recently. It was basically, I may not remember all the details 100% correctly, but it was a woman who had knitted, or it might have been crocheted, I think it was some huge blanket for her friend's son's birthday. I don't know whether it was, I got a feeling maybe it was 21st birthday or something. And she'd put something ridiculous like 900 hours or $900, I don't know. It was a huge amount of time and money into this blanket. I don't remember the details, but she spent a huge amount of time and money on this blanket, gave it away to her friend's son, and her friend apparently gave it back to her and said her son didn't want it. I think it seemed to remember there was something about he only wanted designer clothes or something. So anyway, this woman was obviously very, very upset. But the thing was, did she have any indication that her friend's son would enjoy this present? And why would you spend that amount of time and money on somebody you don't really know? It might have been her best friend, I don't know, but she may have known this lad since he was little, but you know, did she really know what he wanted being in his 20s? I can't imagine making a blanket for somebody in their 20s unless they ask for it. I would, generalizing here, we think that girls might be keener on that kind of thing that boys would be, but I don't think I would make something or put a lot of time and effort into something unless I actually knew that the person was going to appreciate it. It's one thing making a pair of hand warmers for my friends, but making a blanket, which takes a huge amount of time and effort in both money and time, I don't think I would do that. So you need to think about before you give a present away, especially if it costs a lot of time and money, and you know, our time is important as well. Did the person actually want it? Did they ask for it? Have you had any indication that they will appreciate a handmade gift, whatever it is you're making? Knitting, crochet, hand sewn, quilt, whatever. Have they given you any indication that they might appreciate a handmade gift? If not, then think twice before you make something. Or even ask them, just say, I was thinking about knitting you something for Christmas. Is there something you would like, or is there something, or would you prefer me not to? Sometimes I think we think that making stuff can be cheaper than buying stuff, but certainly when it comes to knitting, that's not always the case. I guess if you're knitting from stash, then maybe it is. But do think about whether the item will be appreciated before you give it away, and if you will be upset if it's not appreciated. So basically, if you care what happens to the item, do think twice before you gift it, unless it's been specifically asked for. And once you give it away, it's no longer yours. You've given it to somebody. Whatever it is you give to somebody, it's theirs. It's not yours. So just set it free and don't worry about what happens to it. Will the person you give it to, will they be able to care for it properly? Will they be able to wash it? Does it need blocking after each washing, like a lace shawl? Does it need, that's why I've been a bit reluctant to give lace shawls to people, because they will need blocking really after washing to look their best. I gave a scarf to this friend who I knit for regularly, and it was knitted in a merino silk, a single ply yarn. It was a cables, it was cables like a cables on both sides. It was an infinity loop scarf thing, and I knew it was the kind of thing that she would like. I think I actually made it for the pattern, and then I had the sample and I thought, well, that will be a nice present for her. But I did say to her, you have to hand wash this. This yarn cannot be machine washed. But she had a wool wash cycle on her washing machine, and she insisted that her wool wash cycle, or she had a hand wash cycle or something, and she insisted that would be okay to hand wash. That would be okay for something that had to be hand washed. And I said, no, I don't think it will be. please don't machine wash it. It doesn't need machine washing. You know, you don't need to wash it that often. Anyway, I think she spilled coffee or something on it, and she machine washed it, and she felted it and completely ruined it. And since then, I've actually knitted her a lot less, because that did upset me. I know I should let it go, set it free, but because in the fact that I'd said to her not to machine wash it, even on her hand wash cycle, and the fact that she still did, that did actually upset me. And I wasn't very impressed, but you know, I had to let it go. But I did warn her that it might not be a good idea. Think about the cost in terms of materials and time, and how that affects those decisions about gifting something. If you're not sure whether it's going to be appreciated, maybe give something smaller or something that's easier to care for, something a bit cheaper. There's no point giving a cashmere blanket to somebody, or even a cashmere cardigan to somebody who's going to chuck it in the washing machine. You're better off making something in something that's can be machine washed. Just like a lot of young mums, for example, new mums, are not going to want to hand wash baby clothes and don't knit anything in a yarn that has to be hand washed, because they probably won't use it. So do think about who your giftee, if you like, is, and how they will care for the item and whether they will appreciate it. Another story is about myself. Many years ago, when my nephews were little, I gave my sister a hand knitted shawl. It was a shawl that I'd made for a pattern. So it was a sample I made for a pattern. So it kind of served this purpose for me, really. I'm thinking it must have possibly been for her 40th birthday. So that would be about 10 years ago. I think that might sound about right. So I gave my sister this shawl. It was a fine lace shawl. It was knitted in something like alpaca, cashmere and silk, I think. Like really fine lace, 1200 meters per 100 gram, that kind of fine lace. Big shawl, absolutely beautiful, in a favorite color, which was like a very, very pale pink. A bit lighter than what I'm wearing probably. And I gave it to her for her birthday. And then that year for Christmas, or it might have been the next year for Christmas, we went to Norway. We went to see my sister. We were out doing something in the snow. Her kids were quite young at the time, and she was wearing like a snowsuit to play with the kids, and this pink thing wrapped around her neck, and it was like really scrunched up. It was a bit felted, and I looked closely at it and I was horrified. I didn't say anything, thank goodness, but I realized that it was the shawl I'd made her, but it was totally unrecognizable because it was all scrunched up and a bit kind of felted and didn't look good. And I was a bit upset, to be quite honest, because obviously I put a lot of time and effort into it, and it was meant to be worn as like a big lace shawl. And I told my husband that I was a bit upset about this, and he said, well, at least she's wearing it. You know, maybe she didn't think she would ever wear a lace shawl, so at least wearing it as a scarf like that, you can tell she's worn it a lot because it looks like it's been worn a lot. So he said, at least she's worn it, so you know, you should be happy about that. So I thought, well, yeah, that actually makes sense. You know, if she's not going to wear a lace shawl, that's not for everyone. At least she was wearing it, so I guess I should have been pleased that she was wearing it. So I never actually said anything to her about it. I also knitted stuff for my nephews, scarves for my nephews in this kind of fluorescent yarn. It was a yarn, I think it was Rico who did it a few years ago, and it had bits in it that if you shone a light on it, it would, what's it called, not fluorescent, reflective. So it would light up, and as they live in Norway where it's dark a lot, I thought that was quite useful. And they actually had those scarves for years, and they got a bit tatty at the end, but I did see them wearing it quite a few times, and the last time I saw them, the scarves did look a bit tatty. But I guess that shows they'd worn them quite a bit. So let me know, have you knitted presents for people? Have they been appreciated? Have they not been appreciated? Is people not appreciating your handmade gifts? Does that upset you? Do you not care? Do you not knit for people or make anything for people? Let me know what you think about this topic. And if you are planning to make loads of handmade presents, if you enjoy that and you've got the time and the money and everything, and you have people who are knit worthy or homemade worthy, if you like, and you enjoy that and you get pleasure from that, then yeah, go for it. But if you are pushing yourself to knit something for somebody and it's stressing you out and you're worrying about it and you're losing sleep over it and you're going to get upset and angry if they don't like it, then perhaps don't. It's better to save yourself that stress and aggravation and not give them something rather than make them something that's going to cause stress and hurt and upset. So let me know what you think, and thank you for watching. I really appreciate you being here. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing, and if let me know what you think in the comments below. So I must admit, I found crocheting while I was chatting more difficult, but that is how. So I've done nearly one row actually, which isn't too bad. I did have to pause for a little bit because my husband was coming out of his office to go downstairs, and as I got my door open, it was making a bit of noise. But what do you think about that? So it starts off with yellow and pink, green and pink, blue and pink, purple and pink, red and blue, I think it is, black and, no, blue, purple and yellow, green, purple again. So do you like those colours, or do you think, I wasn't sure they would go after this other colour, this lighter colour. So what I've been doing with this blanket is I've been choosing two colours that may be like similar in colour. So those are not the same, but they have kind of some of the same colours in them, or like those two. I will choose two that are like similar-ish, and then crochet with them together. So for example, I would choose, oh, that's one, yeah, something like that, those two for example, because they both have turquoise in them. So I just tend to like grab two that are kind of similar-ish, and then like those two, and then hold them together and crochet them. And two 10-gram skeins, I'm holding them double obviously, so two 10-gram mini skeins is enough to do 3 rows. There is a little bit left over at the end, but I tend to just do 3 rows and then break the yarn and throw the rest away. I haven't weighed how much is left. I would imagine it's probably like a couple of grams at the most. So I've just been binning that. There are some yarns like these that I have a lot more than 10 grams of. So I will probably use that for 3 rows, then put it away and then use it again later on. But my plan is to use all my leftover sock yarn scraps and my advent calendar for last year and things like that to make this blanket. It's a granny stripes blanket, and I'm using a pattern which is on the Attic 24 blog. If you just Google Attic 24 granny stripes, you'll find it, and you can see more about this blanket in my Vlogtober video specifically on this blanket, and you'll probably also see it in upcoming podcast episodes. Once October is over, we'll be back to normal, probably fortnightly podcast episodes where I share what I'm up to, and then maybe weekly, maybe fortnightly, we'll see. I might try and do it weekly, and then in December it will be time for Vlogmas, and I got a very special project that I'm hoping to get ready in time for Vlogmas, but I haven't started yet. Anyway, I better go and do a bit more crochet and start on that Vlogmas project. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.